Hi everyone, I'm Maksymiuk from the Ukrainian American Citizens Association. It's a real pleasure to be here this evening. So before we can answer the question, what's next for Philly, it would really be beneficial to first ask, where did we come from? Many challenges that we face today in our efforts to improve our city are similar to what our predecessors faced in their time. By looking back and learning from their accomplishments, we can gain a better understanding of what it takes to do great things. So, let's draw some inspiration from the men and women who established the Ukrainian American Citizens Association, otherwise known as the Yuki Club. Ukrainians first began immigrating to the United States in the late 1800s, and many settled in Pennsylvania to work in the coal mines. Lacking a structured community of their own, they banded together and formed their own association in 1909. For the next 50 years, this club became the heart of Ukrainian life in the city, as more and more refugees arrived, seeking sanctuary from the shackles of communism. To service this influx of migrants, the club provided food, housing, and basic language courses to those in need. Additionally, the hall became the headquarters of many Ukrainian-focused organizations, such as youth groups, charities, and theater troupes. So without knowing the language and having no one to rely on but themselves, what was this first wave of immigrants able to accomplish? Well, they created an organization that's been around for 100 years. They lent a helping hand to those in need, and they served as an incubator for the creation of new organizations. Pretty impressive. Today, our club serves as a pretty popular rental hall. I have seen everything from weddings to fashion shows to chili cook-offs. But probably the most prominent event to ever use the space has to be the Hollertronics parties, which were hosted by celebrity DJ Diplo. Complex magazine actually named the club one of the 100 coolest places of the 2000s, just because of these parties. So when I reference the club, what am I talking about? Well, our home for close to a century now has been at Franklin and Poplar Streets. In 1922, club members were able to come together to purchase the Mercantile Hall. Previously, the association had been relegated to renting just one of the rooms, but now had free reign over the entire property. This helped to cement Northern Liberties and East Poplar as Slavic strongholds. In the 1960s, the city of Philadelphia attempted to redevelop the neighborhood and even drew up plans to demolish the old hall and build a new facility in its place. These plans, unfortunately, were never completed and resulted in a mass exodus from the neighborhood and a significant drop in membership. So this is what the facility looks like today. Despite the facelift, you can still see the resemblance to the 1922 facade. While the Ukrainian population has shifted now to the Great Northeast, the neighborhood around the club is currently experiencing a boom in new construction. This has brought with it a renewed interest in the club from former members and curiosity from our new neighbors. In this satellite image, you can just see how large the property is with the soccer field, the volleyball courts, and the stage. Paris Street at one point used to run through the southern end of the field, and originally this green space had all been homes. Over the years, neighbors had willed their land to the club, and eventually the Redevelopment Authority generously handed over ownership of the remaining lots. This green space is meant to be enjoyed by our members, and the great thing about that is that membership is not just limited to those of Ukrainian descent. If you have 2 willing sponsors and $10 in your pocket, you too can enjoy all the benefits of being a member of the Yuki Club. Besides being a green getaway in the middle of the city, every summer we make use of these grounds by hosting soccer and volleyball leagues. Back in the day, a traveling soccer team represented the club and even had Soccer Hall of Famer Alex Eli on the squad. There's no facility in the neighborhood that's quite like ours, with a bar and a field, so we are fortunate to be filling a need in the market. We've become quite popular with other nonprofits who like to host fundraisers on our field, probably because a cow chip bingo is a lot more exciting than your typical beef and beer. And this is fine with us. We exist to benefit the community in any way possible and are willing to work with anyone. This attitude is what has allowed us to play host to such an eclectic variety of events. Here, for instance, you can see the Prometheus Ukrainian Male Choir utilizing our Grand Hall for a photo shoot. And we also still work to help our homeland as well, because if we don't do it, who will? During the recent revolution in Ukraine, our members worked to help spread awareness by participating in several demonstrations downtown. In addition, an ongoing food drive was organized, and the proceeds from club events went to funding charitable work. We have particularly focused on benefiting the children of Ukraine and have paid for groups to attend summer camps and to play in baseball leagues. Of course, none of this would be possible without the dedication of our members, who for the most part do all the maintenance and upkeep of the grounds on a volunteer basis. The survival of any nonprofit is dependent on the interest of the people involved, and I'm happy to say that we have a solid core in place. Having experienced firsthand the effort in making a nonprofit prosper, I truly believe in the power of the saying, teamwork makes the dream work. Our volunteer board directors have a vision in place to totally restore our facility and utilize all the space available. Taking on large projects is sometimes difficult, though, because in addition to regular maintenance, running a club, and renting the hall, we are limited by funds and manpower. Despite these challenges, though, we continue to make improvements. One of our most recent projects was refinishing the Members Bar. That's one of the benefits of having such a large facility. We don't have just one, but 2 bars, one for rentals and one for members. Just to once again show the dedication of our volunteers, the original tin ceiling in this room was restored by hand and took close to 40 hours to complete. Next on the to-do list of major projects is to completely renovate our apartment units on our top floor. Years ago, these units housed new immigrants from Ukraine and families of workers. But today they sit empty, which is doing no one any good. With the housing market in the neighborhood reaching all-time highs, it only makes sense to make the space functional once again. Now, probably the most interesting part of the entire facility is the grand hall with its balcony and stage. In here, there were concerts, weddings, and even some volleyball games, but it has not seen any real use for decades. When membership and funds were shrinking, the board strategically focused on maintaining just parts of the building, so the hall deteriorated into more of a storage area. Whenever I tour people around the building, this is always the most impressive room for them to see. Unfortunately, a massive space like this requires a lot of money to rehab. Different businesses and organizations have made proposals to renovate this hall, but so far nothing has come to fruition. Ultimately, though, the goal is to have this space restored and have concerts take place again. So, what's next for Philly? How about preserving what we already have? There are a multitude of buildings and organizations that have been gracing our city for hundreds of years, and it's up to all of us to make sure that these institutions last for hundreds of years to come. So as we prepare for the challenges of tomorrow, it would benefit us to remember the accomplishments of the past, because hey, we all came from somewhere. Thank you.